yeah, no shows covered.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
How come you became a writer in the first place?
Well, when I was small, me and my little mates used to get together and write stories for each other just as a way of passing time, because there was no telly in those days for us. So after we'd seen Star Wars and things like that and read a few books and whatever we saw, we just wrote into our stories. And then I liked doing it, I think, more than the others, so as they fell off, I started doing it more. And then, as time went on, my parents were really encouraging, and I thought, oh, maybe I could do it for a living. And then I stopped writing altogether for a time. When I was a teenager and I went to university, I thought maybe I'll go and study something really geeky, like AI, artificial intelligence. And then I thought, well, if you do that, you probably never write your books, so you better go and write them. So I did. And it worked out, thank God. Yeah.
Any more questions?
So we talked a lot about the Bokhandeln grant. So you said a few words about your books?
Yeah, there's one here. Right, the Silver Screen was the first one. I don't know if you've got any of those, but that was the first book I did, a science fiction book. Oh, it was like, I was trying to write it as a murder mystery, it didn't quite come off. But it's a character-driven book, again with a female lead, in which her best friend has apparently killed himself. And they were all working together with an off-world artificial intelligence, which is in charge of the global communications. And there's a big plot that goes around the houses, but basically he has allowed this machine to escape the bounds of the company and become completely independent in its own right, because there was a court case in which, because they thought it was a person, some people were trying to take the company to court for slavery, basically. But he allows it to escape because he knows that the court case is going to be corrupted and everything will go bad. So that's what the story is about.
Shortlisted for the Arthur C. Clarke?
Was, yes. And then there's this one, Map of Monday, which sort of follows on with the same themes. This is about the development of a nanotechnology. It's basically set now. It's a thriller, and there is some biological warfare in it. She said, reading it off the back, I just remember that part. I wrote it a long time ago. And there's mind control technology, so it's all about those two things, really. About a struggle between the people who develop it to try and retain control over it, as the government that they're working for, in this case the US government, tries to sabotage them. And because it's a mind control technology which actually works, and because they want to spread it via disease vectors, they decide that whoever strikes first probably wins the whole deal. So it's just this race against time, just who's going to get it out. That's what that book's about. Natural history. That one is kind of moving on. This one was like, suppose you really could do proper genetic engineering, almost like a plug and play. It doesn't really work like that, but suppose you could do it. And suppose you had really good robotics and computer technology, and suppose you put all those things together and decided you wanted to explore the solar system and space beyond. Because it's very hard for human beings to get off this planet and survive for any length of time, suppose we engineered them into forms that would thrive in all of these bizarre environments and make it off-world and still be human enough to talk to. And that's what that book's about. And then they meet some aliens who have already, way past that, been there, done it, the t-shirt, everything. And they sort of get taken over by the aliens. And it's another war for free will and all that self-determination business which I keep banging on about in every single book. Oh, and this one's the book that nobody ever talks about. This one is like a follow-up to that one. This is about the aliens who did take over, and they're able to make themselves into any shape or form, and they mostly exist in a how to put it, a non-materially actualized energy state. It's like one of those great big energy entities that Clarke used to write about, who don't really interfere too much with things and think that people who interfere with them get everything that's coming to them, basically, which is to be taken over and then assimilated into this vast unity-like structure. and but occasionally it throws up anomalies which can't be controlled by the Unity. And it's about one of these anomalies and the interaction with all the people that it comes across, and how it's shaped by them and how they're shaped by it. So on the intellectual end, I was really trying to explore how much are we determined by the stories we tell ourselves about our own lives, right from the beginning and all the way through, and how much are we shaped by the stories that other people like to tell us about ourselves, whether you accept them, whether you reject them, and whether you can kind of rewrite them, because a lot of the people in this book are struggling to escape from groups of people and situations that they feel hostile. They're trying to go to a world created by the aliens in which you can actualize and manifest all kinds of things out of your unconscious, basically. So you really can go and live in a castle and have fairies for friends, except the fairies that you have for friends. There's a real question in there, I could never really answer it. Because the premise of going there is that you're going to generate these things. They're almost like, they're like non-player characters in your story game. And some of the non-player characters have parts in this, and they are very concerned about how real they are. It's almost like an Alice in Wonderland book like that. I mean, it's kind of a bit trippy and a bit strange. But they are, I think they are just as real as everybody else. But they have, a lot of the characters in here have a few problems with that. So it's kind of an exploration of things. It's strange, but I actually think this is the best book that I've written. Although it's not the easiest one to read, but I think it is the best.
Anyone else? Then I suggest that we end this little interview here, and people are most welcome to come up here and get their book signed. Thank you, Justina, for being here.
You're welcome. Pleasure.